What's up, guys? A little bit of a different video today. We're going to be doing reviewing a TikTok that has different slides on dealing with the infamous now Bakersfield 911 dispatcher. Some of these stories are wild, and keep in mind that these are short text, so I don't have the full context of the calls. But I figured, hey, I'm a 911 dispatcher. I can, have a little bit of input on this. And some of these situations, like I said, they're just a short text, so I don't have the full context of the situation. I'm just going to be going through my thought process as a 911 dispatcher and things you should never say, things that maybe they were dealing with this, or I'm not sure how everybody knows this is the exact same woman that they're dealing with in Bakersfield 911, unless Bakersfield isn't that huge and like there's only one person that sounds like this. Um, but we're gonna see, right? And then I may make some more videos since that's kind of the relevant topic right now. It's wild some of the things this Bakersfield 911 dispatcher is doing. Like it's insane. So we'll start off with some slides. I'll put the TikTok link down in the description on YouTube, and then on TikTok I'll see if I can add the link on there as well, or at least put it down in the comments for you guys. But yeah, let's go through some of these, and I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to skip a few here and there. This first one says, one time I called because someone was trying to break into my house for them to hurry. And she said that they were dealing with real crimes like murders. Even if you are, as an 911 dispatcher, you don't just tell people, hey, we're dealing with murders. I don't have time for your burglary. Now, me being in a small to medium agency, if it's a burglary in progress, like somebody's actually kicking down your door, I'm going to send out the tones. Any officers I have on traffic, they're going to clear that traffic stop and they're going to go there immediately. Now, if we have like a rollover crash, plus a domestic, plus officers are fighting with someone that has a warrant, and I don't have any officers, I'm going to try and find a backup plan or get someone clear as soon as I can. I can notify the supervisor over the radio, hey, we've got a burglary in progress. We need someone to clear. Or sometimes, worst case scenario, I'll ask for one of the other agencies around us if they can help us, such as our county agency that's covers the whole county instead of just the city like we do. That's one thing that I would never say to a caller, like, "Oh, we're dealing with murders. We don't have time for your burglary." Even if I don't have people available and they're dealing with other stuff, I'm gonna be as calm as I can and let them know, "Hey, we'll get someone there as soon as we have someone available, and just keep me updated on what they're doing, or if you see anyone, or what they look like, or anything like that." And I'll urge you to go in a room where you can lock yourself in and whatnot. Um, because things happen at different times, and who knows what else they were actually dealing with. But like I said, yeah, as a dispatcher, you don't ever tell somebody that. You don't ever diminish their emergency, right? Because someone breaking into your house is an emergency. It is a real thing going on. You don't tell them, hey, we've got murders we're dealing with. We don't have time for your burglary, in this context. Might be too dark, but I found my brother in rigor mortis. Why is she telling me to do CPR when I said to just send the ambulance? Why did they seem annoyed? Ma'am, I don't watch 911 shows, but I know CPR isn't going to bring back a deceased body. So with this one, if this was transferred to a medical dispatch, like in my agency, we transfer to a medical dispatch that's separate from us. They have to go through, they have very, very strict policies to go through their process. First thing they're gonna do is get the address twice, so it's confirmed, and get the phone number twice, so it's confirmed. They're gonna already have help on the way, but then they have to ask their questions and go through their instructions. If you tell them that someone's unresponsive and doesn't have a pulse and you believe they've passed, they're still gonna go through their CPR instructions. That is a part of their policy. That is what they have to do. It it's still like you don't have to do it. Like it's your choice whether you do it or not, but they have to go through the instructions because they are not there. They cannot see what you're seeing. They have to go through that process. Unfortunate, but it is what it is, right? A drunk driver hit my new car on Christmas Eve and was trying to flee the scene. My cousin called 911 and explained the situation, and she said, "So what are you calling for?" I understand 911 can get frustrating sometimes, guys, like for real. If you have a rollover and an officer fighting somebody and domestic being called in, and then you have the person that keeps calling 911 over and over again about their child's acting up and they need help with that, and they keep tying up the 911 line where you can't check on the other emergencies, then yes, it can get frustrating. And some dispatchers, including myself sometimes, can have a little bit of an attitude or seem annoyed when something like that's coming in. But something like this, if you're being cool and collected and you're telling me what's going on, I'm not just gonna be like, so what are you calling for? If you explain that situation properly, they may tell you to hold on, let me try and get a unit available, or hold on, let me check on these other 911 calls. I've done that plenty of times, especially when I'm working by myself. But yeah, so what are you calling for? That's We literally have training videos when we first become dispatchers that you go to a class and they show you the infamous videos, such as the lady calling for her daughter acting up, and the male dispatcher says, so what do you want us to do, shoot her? There's videos that we have that we've reviewed and sound bites that these are things that you never say. To me personally, I would never say, so what are you calling for? It just seems that's a little too much, right? I called to report someone breaking into my house while I was in it and was told the police couldn't come out unless someone else reported it. Again, these are short texts. Like if that is the true exact context, that is insane. W- I mean, my best guess is that the dispatcher just didn't understand that they were saying someone's breaking into my house right now, or something got miscommunicated somewhere. Because I don't know. To say that I don't know. Plus, also in my agency, if it's something that is technically a gray area or something that's involving policy, like we can't take a report for this reason, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm just going to say, I'll have an officer contact you. And when I have an officer available, the officer can explain it and go through the policies and all of that. It's not my place to do that. My place is to get you the help that you need or you feel you need. Unless it's something like, yeah, I have a domestic situation going on. I'm in Detroit, Michigan, and I'm in Texas. Me as the dispatcher, I'm in Texas. I'm going to urge you to report it with your local agency. Well, maybe not a domestic because that's active. I'd probably transfer it or try and find a number for you. But if it's something involving another agency's policies or something another agency is doing, I'm going to refer you back to that agency because there's nothing I can do when I'm a completely separate agency, right? My house was being robbed with me and my little brother home. The operator hung up on me and told me to stop calling. So this is actually an issue in a lot of 911 centers. Again, I've seen a lot of training videos and things with it where dispatchers assume that since it's a child calling, that it's a prank call. That's not always the case. I mean, you can tell on the context, Again, I've been doing this 10 years, so maybe I just have a different outlook on it. But when a child calls, you can tell the context that it's in, whether it's a prank call or not. You can listen to them and see if they're being sincere. And to me, children are some of the best callers for many reasons. One of the reasons is sometimes, yes, they may be crying or upset, but for the most part, they are the calmest 911 callers. They'll tell you anything you want to know, especially if they actually need the help. If it's a kid actually prank calling and you start asking questions, they're going to start giggling. They're going to be giving you some crazy, wild, made up story like there's a dragon in their house and they need help. And, you know, something like that you can pick out and be like, okay, maybe this is a prank call. But if you have an address, still send the officers because, I mean, they still need a response, whether it's a prank call or not. So just get the information. Just talk to them. Get the information. If you feel like it's a prank, send the officers. Be like, oh, I feel like it's a prank. And then when the officers show up and be like, oh no, someone's actually breaking into this house, then you'll know. I had to call an ambulance for my grandpa one night, and she was like, you need to call the other line for medical. Like, okay, patch me through. And for the most part, that's true. Like at our agency, I'm just going to transfer you over to the medical dispatch. I don't know why in an emergency line situation like that, especially if this person called 911, just patch them through. You don't tell them to call back and call a non-emergency number or a different number. I mean, again, I don't know the context. I don't know if they were calling like a main line from a different area and maybe their phone lines are down. I don't know. But still, try and help them out the best you can. You're wasting more time by sitting there and arguing and going back and forth than you would be, "Hey, this isn't medical dispatch, but I got a number for you right here whenever you're ready to write it down." Like, even if you can't patch it through for whatever reason that may be, I'm gonna it to me, it's gonna be a shorter time to be like, "Hey, let me find you a number and give you that number," rather than sitting there and arguing, "You should be calling this other line." Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Called when I thought I was having a stroke, was paralyzed and vomiting everywhere. That definitely sounds like blood clot or stroke. I could hardly dial 911. Once I finally could, I still could not form words. They hung up on me twice. This is also where you need experience as a dispatcher. You need to understand the context in this. When you're a dispatcher and you have an open line, I always try for at least 30 seconds on an open line to see if I hear background noise, I hear someone trying to talk. So that way, worst case scenario, even if you aren't able to form words, but I hear some kind of background noise or I hear like you're mumbling or trying to get out words, I can at least send officers to go check. So that way, officer can be like, "Oh yeah, we need medical here," or whatever the case is that they need. It's something that, as a dispatcher, you need to learn these contexts and understand that just because it's an open line or nobody's saying anything doesn't mean that there's not an emergency there. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. So I always try and like listen in, see if I can hear background noise, see if I can hear someone trying to talk, and go from there. Because it's not going to hurt to send someone to check. Got a herniated disc from bending over and picking up my laundry basket. I was on the floor, paralyzed from the waist down, and home alone. Called 911, put me on hold for at least 10 minutes, picked up saying, "Okay, you just need to figure it out on your own," then hung up on me. If this, again, the short text and everything, and it is the internet, I'm not saying this person is lying, but it is the internet, anything is possible. If this was legit said, like if they were legit put on hold for 10 minutes and then said, "Okay, you just need to figure it out on your own," I like, well, how are they not fired? How is there not a lawsuit already? Because if I were to tell someone just figure it out and hang up on them, like I would legit lose my job. I don't know. Like I said, some of these are just so short and the context is so wild. It's hard for me to put in my brain because at my agency, I would definitely be fired for that. Telling someone just to figure it out and not sending help. So yeah, that's the end of those. That's once again, I'll try and put the link down in the video description or on the TikTok wherever I'm putting this. Uh, I may try and follow this Bakersfield stuff. I've been following it personally on TikTok just to see what happens because some of these stories, like I said, are wild enough that if it is all legit the same dispatcher, and we've seen the video of the security guard that called 911 for someone possibly overdosing and the way the dispatcher treated them. If I did that at my center, I would be fired. And I don't know how they're getting away with it, but they are. So let's all follow this together because we know people are following this from Japan and Norway and just all over the world. People are zeroing in on this dispatcher. Friendly note though, you can't generalize. Not all dispatchers are like this. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope if you have to call 911 that they help you out and you can get the help that you need. You can check out some of my videos on YouTube, TikTok, wherever, and just get some tips and tricks on it. And when you call 911, how you can be prepared and the things they might be asking you and the context of why we ask certain things. This is legit wild. I hope you guys have a good day and we'll catch you on the next one.